Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Soulful Abundance with Chris Williams. I'm Chris Williams, and I am so excited to have one of my friends and colleagues, Kate Saint Clair, here today with us. She is amazing. She is not only an expert in intuition, a psychic medium, an author, but what I love, love, love about having Kate with us is that she really helps you not just give your power over to somebody else but actually learn how to tap into your own intuitive gifts. And Kate, I'm just so, so excited. I know we've had to kind of move timelines around a little bit, and I'm like, yay, we finally get Kate today. So I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about how you got into intuition and, when did you first, know that you had some intuitive and some psychic gifts?
Hmm. I have to say, I don't remember a time when I didn't. I was kind
Mm,
of the 3, 4-year-old who my grandfather had passed away 20 years before my birth. And I'd sit at my grandma's table, she's really the one who raised me. And they'd be talking about grandpa, and he was sitting there. And so I remember it was like 4 where I'm like, wait, why aren't they talking to him? And I'd say stuff and I
interesting.
get a lot of like faces. And so
Yeah.
I really at like 4 learned something. This is just funny. I didn't have language for it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was the little kid. I just saw spirits. I thought everybody saw spirits. And you just learn to ignore them. That's kind of how you cope with it. There was no language. We were raised very Catholic. So
Hmm.
there's kind of this paradox between what Christ could do and what you can't do, you know. And so my little mind was
Mm,
trying to process that. And I did try to really shut it down when I realized I'd see stuff, see something, say something, and I'd be kind of shunned or
right.
told that's not there. And it was very, very, very confusing. I've been
Right.
a little kid who would just say people's secrets and get smacked, or, kind of just, you shouldn't say that, don't make stuff up, kind of getting all that shame, shame, shame. So lots of heavy
Yeah.
shame for this stuff. So you just kind of learn to ignore it, kind of shut it down. When I was around 7, though, maybe I was around 6, I really saw these kind of black cougars that would kind of swarm the hallways. I was left alone a lot as a child. And
Mm,
I thought they were black because usually they come out at night. So I knew they were cougars, but they
yeah.
were black in my experience, and they'd kind of come around when at nighttime. And what I didn't understand was they really came when my mom and dad were talking about divorce and separation. So I didn't find out
Mm,
for 30 years, 20 years later when I could do research and understand that it was really preparing me to really be on my own. Because after that divorce, I really was on my own
yeah.
and kind of left alone with lots of big feelings and lots of big knowings and things like that. And my coping was to just ignore it. I'm too sensitive. I can't handle it, kind of all this stuff. But then I was super independent but
Hmm.
really sensitive. So I would read everything I could, and there wasn't a lot of literature in the
Hmm.
90s that I could find anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd
Yeah.
kind of read anything, and you're kind of like, well, I don't do that, or I don't come from 300 years of psychics. And again, I didn't love the language. I didn't
Hmm.
believe in psychics. I didn't understand it. Mediums, I thought, what a like that's just made up. You know,
Right. They're raising the
yeah,
table.
yeah, I'm experiencing it, So there's this huge fracture between my belief system and what's real and or I'm just, I'm ignoring and things like that. So long story short, I just started to read everything I could. And again, I'd read something, but see one little thing where I'm like, well, I don't do it that way, so I must not be.
Hmm.
So this went on for a decade, and then I became a mother. And honestly, when she'd take her naps, again, I would just read.
Yeah.
And when she was about 2 years old, we moved to Fort Collins, Colorado. And this was a really pivotal moment for me. And we were walking around City Park, the little lake there at City Park. And there was a man that was approaching us. And I heard a voice clearly say, pick her up and take her towards people. He'll follow you. So, it was just very specific. So I picked up
Hmm.
my little toddler. We walked across the grass. Sure enough, that man turned around, followed us. But by then I was by the vehicle, I was by other families, so I felt safe. But what really touched my heart was I noticed my 2-year-old, she didn't take her eyes off of him.
Wow.
Yeah. So I understood in that moment she got the same message.
Mm.
And so it's that thing where you're really begging God, please help me understand this or take it away because I was really suffering from my sensitivity and my intuition.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
big, huge miracles would happen for me, but we'd context it like if not to go into a long story, but like I moved to New York City because I was guided to, I met a man in a week I was there. But in my understanding, it's like, so that means I'll marry him. Well, of course, I didn't marry him. It was kind of a, destiny thing. But,
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of context these things inappropriately. So after my daughter, I knew she had intuition just like I did. I, said that prayer. Honestly, even though I tried to find help years and years before, I finally found a mentor about a month later. I was at a Carolyn Mace event at the Lincoln Center. I opened the brochure and I just knew there's a local psychic medium, and I just knew she was my teacher. I went in.
Mm.
The first thing she said to me was, "You can do this." And I'm like, "I don't understand what you're doing." Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing exactly? She
Yeah.
put me right into her mentorship. It was the first time I got to read strangers and get immediate evidential validation in the moment. And
Wow.
so it just kicked off my career. I went kicking and screaming because I wanted, when I realized that this is what I'm really good at, I was really
Mm-hmm.
mad because I really wanted to have a normal life, having
Mm-hmm.
suffered so much as a child.
Yeah.
And then about 3 years into my career, and at 2010, I got a skin cancer spot over my heart. And it
Mm.
was then I finally just surrendered. Okay, this is what we call it. I can't call it something cute or silly. It's a
Right.
psychic medium gift. And I finally surrendered to it. And I did the work for over a decade as a psychic medium. I did Ask a Medium events and such.
Mm-hmm.
And I pivoted about 10 years into my career because what I realized was every single person I worked with was highly intuitive and mediumistic themselves. As
Mm.
a medium, I'd say, I feel like silly stuff comes out of her mouth. Like, she's saying that she left it on the pillow for you, I'd said to one of my clients. And he started to cry.
Oh.
I felt stupid, left it on the pillow, He
Mm-hmm.
started to cry and he said, I knew that was my mother. The morning
Oh.
she died, back in the day, you had the plug-in phones into the wall. It
Yeah.
was placed on the pillow next to him, and he knew it was his mother. So what I realized was he is having the mediumistic experience. I'm just validating it.
Mm-hmm.
So I pivoted about 10 years in to my career, and I just made it my mission to teach everyone how their intuition works. And that's what I've been doing the last 10
Mm.
years.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. For those of us that are wondering what's the difference between intuition versus psychic mediumship,
Mhm.
is there a difference? Like for those that are listening, like what's the difference between intuition and then being a psychic medium?
Okay. So all I would do is refine it. And that's a lot of this work is let's just refine the
Yeah.
language and refine what we're actually talking about.
Okay.
So your intuition is your psychic senses. So
Okay.
that's
So
the language we're using. And your intuition and psychic senses are all comprised of your clairs. So when we say, oh, I'm using my intuition, you either saw it, felt it, heard it, or knew it, always.
mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about intuition, if you can notice how you received that psychic information or that intuitive information, those are interchangeable words, psychic and
Mm-hmm.
intuition. So depending, for me, I notice it's people's level of comfort. Some people love saying
Yeah.
psychic senses, that makes them excited. And some people are like, no way, intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
medium part of us is our ability to connect with the spiritual realm, which is very natural. Every single person can and does do that. So you're using your clairs, your intuition, to connect with the spiritual realm, is your
Mm.
mediumistic ability. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes, absolutely. I love that so much because
Yeah.
yeah, I like that you're like, well, let's have some language for it so that we can understand it more clearly for sure. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that even if it's, something that you might think you have or that you have been experiencing, not having language to understand it can really be a big block. And, your work is really to kind of not only give people language for it, but also to help people understand and
Yeah.
to affirm, that, yeah, no, what you heard is like, she left it on the pillow for you. That's actually, it might feel silly, but no, that's
Yeah.
actually what's happening coming through here. That's a good thing.
Well, and I'll say, our intuition to me, it's our first form of communication. Let's just say at
Hmm.
minimum, it's survival. You're walking down the street again, just like with me. You're walking down the street and you just know you need to cross the street. I mean, it's at a minimum survival, right?
Oh, Thank you. Yes.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
like in the big picture, it would be like your life's purpose, being guided for step in and help that person, step in and ignore that person, like this person's dangerous, let's cross the street. So from little
Mm-hmm.
for survival to big, huge, like what's my life's mission purpose? And
Mm-hmm.
then your intuition, our intuition. So it's also, I'll just say a real practical way I think everybody can relate to. My son was about 10 years old and he came in through the front door and I could feel like something was wrong. So that'd be clairsentience. I felt something
Mm-hmm.
was wrong. He smiled at me and then he turned around and he went upstairs to his room. And I was like, whoa, I felt that. Like, no kidding. I
Mm-hmm.
felt that. So, but your mind is like, he's okay. Like, did he really smile? The mind is.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did. I went upstairs and I just checked on him. And then I could feel he was trying to protect me. So
Yeah.
again, you're just like your intuition, right? My clairsentience, like, no, he's also like trying to protect me. So I was able to use my language. Listen, I'm the mom. And if something happened, it's okay. You tell me. Like, it's not your
Yeah.
job to protect me. You tell mama. And so
Yeah.
he admitted a neighborhood mother lured him in the house and scolded him for something he didn't do. So he was horrified, and then
Wow.
he knew mom would take care of it. So
Yeah.
it's like, so I was able to take care of the situation. But like at a minimum, we're always reading our kids. At a
Mm-hmm.
minimum, we're doing fine where moms were picking up our kid from school. They crawl in the back seat, and all of a sudden you're hungry and tired.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's that clairsentient again. We can feel, our spouses come home and we feel really angry all of a sudden. Well, that anger
Mm-hmm.
could be theirs. And
Mm.
hey, I'm so sorry. Did you have a bad day? And they could be like, no, I'm fine. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
where you can go, oh, he just doesn't want to talk about it. But I definitely can feel his anger. So learning to separate everybody else's feelings from your own, another game changer when we
Well, that's
understand how our intuition
huge. That
works.
is huge to know whether it belongs to you, especially for people that are empathetic, that feel things, that are big feelers, to understand like, actually, this isn't mine at all. And what I'm feeling, I don't have to actually take on. I remember my oldest son, Eli,
Yeah.
when he was like 3 years old, I think we went up to a family reunion, and they had it at this place. There was lots of music, lots of people, and he came up to me. And he's like, "Mommy, it's too busy." And I'm like,
Oh.
"Oh, that's interesting." And I'm like, It was very busy. I was like so like, wow, he knows that right now he's just it's too much for him. And that was the first indication that I had that he feels things
Yeah.
deeply.
And I,
And
and I love that.
mhm.
And then you were able to respect his capacity, where maybe another child can handle it, loves it, doesn't even realize it's going on.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
right or wrong. It's just our capacity and our level of sensitivity. It's just different in each of us. And it's not right
yeah.
or wrong. It just is.
Yeah. So how did you start learning to actually trust? Well, I mean, I know you had it since you were a child, so maybe this is a better question for how you help others
Mhm.
trust the information that they're getting and then differentiating. Is it for them? Does it belong to somebody else?
Oh, I love that you asked that. I want to kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like when I was a teenager, or I'd sense, let's just say if my stepbrother had a girlfriend and I could sense her phoniness, then
Mm,
and then I'm a teenager, so I'm like, I don't trust her. I would be
hmm.
scolded like, well, what do you have a chip on your shoulder? Like, so always scolded. So that happened so much that if I got guidance to turn left, I'd go right because I just assumed I was just always wrong. So
Yeah.
really, I got into a place with my intuition where I didn't trust myself. I did not follow my guidance. And then you think when you choose to go against it, you were guided. And then so it's wrong and you can't trust yourself. But really, you were guided and you didn't follow it.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you just have a rebellious nature. I did because I didn't trust authority. So if I was guided to take that left, I'd go right just to spite it. It's really I spited myself.
Hmm.
So it really was, I think becoming a mother not only saved my life, but
Mm,
it helped me like, no, I know what's going on. Like, because I would defer to my husband, what do you think? Well, what do you think? And he didn't know. He's not a mom,
hmm.
like on some
Hmm.
level, I just knew that I knew. And it
Hmm.
was really in her name, my daughter. And then when my son was born, that I was like, no, I am being guided.
Mm,
So it's the position where I personally had to reclaim it in my personal life. That was a long journey, and a lot of it was that skin cancer, where I
hmm.
had to stop lying to myself. I am deeply, deeply guided. I
Mm-hmm.
can trust myself.
Mm.
And just really doubling down on how do I get guidance? My brain needed to really understand how it's through those clairs. And then I had to go back in my life and like, this is when I did trust my intuition. So I had to go back and create that map of evidence for myself. Like, no, the times I really
Yeah.
did trust it, look at the miracles that happened, or look at how clear I was, or look at the boundary I was able to execute. Because I didn't BS myself. I knew that I knew, and I was able to stand up that way. So between that and then working for strangers and having that, if I can know this for you, then I can know it for myself. So that kind
Mm-hmm.
of the paradox between my inner work and then my outside work really helped me start to trust it. So I would
Mm-hmm.
consider that my intuition was very broken for a long time and kind of
Mm-hmm.
weaponized against me. So if anyone's struggling with that, I'd say that's the first step. And the
Mm-hmm.
first step to build that trust is to just start to slow it down and be like, I felt that. I just had a knowing. I just knew it. Or
Mm-hmm.
like me, a lot of times, I heard it. Take a
Mm-hmm.
left, go home early, call your mother. Like, just notice how it's coming through. Or if you have a vision, I see it. Like, I always saw myself moving to New York City, and at 20 years old, I dropped everything and moved to New York City. So sometimes it can be in the future, and you don't know until you know, until it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
proven to you.
Yeah.
From this moment, you would just slow and start to notice how you receive intuitive information. And I would say a lot of people have one to two stronger clairs than the other. They just really feel or they just really know. And I would encourage them to practice using other clairs because sometimes if you
Mm.
feel too much, you're feeling too much of everybody.
Mm.
So you could slow it down and just say, help me hear it or help me know it, or kind of help use the other clairs to fill out the bigger picture. So like I said, if you're just feeling too much, it's much harder to get clear.
Yeah.
And even with clairaudience, untrained clairaudience all sounds like our thinking voice until it's trained.
Mm.
Yeah. It took me years, even professionally, where I'd be like, that's a man's voice. That was funny. So that's a different message. If they're saying
Yeah.
it funny, that's very different.
Yeah.
It took me a year, at least a year, to really fine tune it. And now I can really pinpoint it, the clairaudience. But many of us think it's just our thinking voices.
That is fascinating. Yeah. And I actually had no idea that you could actually ask
Yeah.
to experience more of them. I thought, nope, you're either this, or you might be two of these, but all of the other ones are out. So this
Yes.
is
Yeah.
so brand new for me to actually realize, even though I knew about the clairs, I didn't realize that you could actually improve the others as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you an example too. So I'm highly clairaudient, so I can hear really good. And let's just say when I'm afraid, I can't hear anything. The
Mm,
loudest voice in my body and my mind is my fear. So even now, I would ask, let's just say my birth guide, that I have a whole training on it. I'm passionate about you knowing where your birth guide is, that you can hear their voices, talk to them because it's a communication, it's a conversation. It's not a one and done. Oh, I missed it. I guess I'll get it next time, or oh, it's over.
yeah.
No, it's a conversation. So you learn to talk to your intuition, and you learn to talk to, I'd say, your birth guide. That's what I love. So let's just say when I'm really afraid, I have to say, stand in front of me, shake your head, and really use my clairvoyance to
Ah,
get that message because I can't hear it.
wow.
And again, like I said, a lot of my clients are like 100% feelers. That's just paralysis, So
Hmm.
I really am passionate about learn to, use your clairaudience to get a message this way.
Mm,
Learn to use your clairvoyance to see it. Or are we going to California? Are we going to New York? Where are we going? Let me have an
mm,
image of what
hmm,
that guidance is. So
hmm,
yeah, harmonious intuition, we have the ability to use the different ones to help really fill out that evidential picture that you're being guided to
mm.
experience.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. And how powerful that is to not be able to understand and have language for, but also to be able to use that in so many different ways. I mean, our community is, heart-centered women who are building and growing a business. So, oh my gosh, to be able to feel confident about a message or a divine download or whatever words you want to put on it, to be like, you know what? Maybe I should just go to this event. And all of a sudden, you go to the event and you meet somebody, and they become somebody who opens up another door into, like, when you're able to trust those things. I just think that there's so much opportunity for not only growth in your own life, but growth in your business. Could you share a little bit about how you've seen that work in your business and also maybe in some of your clients too?
Yes, definitely. I was thinking that so many of the women that you work with, this is what we do when we're untrained and we're big-hearted women. We tend to over-personalize everything.
Mm,
Let's just say early in my career, I always prayed not to get the big, strong personality because at the time I was fairly voiceless
mm.
and I'm a Westerner, so I'm not used to sort of that in your face. I lived in New York City, so they helped me
Well,
adjust,
now
but
you're right. Yeah, I was going to say, holy cow, how did you not shut down in New York City? There's a lot of people, energies
I learned
there.
a lot. So let's just say early in my career, I mean, I was like scared of that personality that was just too in your face and too, bold. And so, of course, that personality came into my work a lot to help me overcome it, right? So I had a new client and I could already feel that her personality was already making me a little uncomfortable. But my guide said, "You're going to love her." And I
Mm,
trust that. So sure enough, when she came in, she was very scared. I could feel her fear. I
mhm,
could feel her judgment upon me, right? So we personalize it like, oh, I don't like you. I'm scared of you. But actually, maybe she's scared of me. And I
mhm,
could sense that. And so when she sat down, because I'm so passionate about just languaging the truth, like our only job with our intuition is to get what we get. It's not to
mhm,
control what we get, it's to get what we get. So when she was able to sit down, and again, I'm keeping my heart open because I know I'm going to love her. So
mhm,
whatever that scary feeling we're both feeling, we're going to overcome it together. And so when
mhm.
I was actually able to sit down and look at her energetically, she had a layer of spirit animals around her, moving, stalking, protecting her. I'm not
Wow.
kidding you. It was the first and only time I've ever seen this type of protection. She had almost like a moat. I'm not even
Wow.
kidding you. There was like water, and then
Wow.
she did have walls. I mean, it's almost like a cliche castle. And because I only care about what I get, I was able to really compassionately say, listen, I got to overcome these animals. I got to come the moat. And then I've got to overcome the walls to get to you. And she
Mhm,
actually laughed. She was not surprised to hear it. Because I was able to see her so clearly, she just pulled the walls down. And
mm.
I worked with her. She was my mentorship student for at least 5 years until we moved away. And in her 60s, so she was in her late 70s, or she was 70s by the time we stopped working together. She said, in all of my life, I've never been seen the way you've seen me. But she was so tender-hearted and so scared. She was
Mhm,
so hurt and violated over the course of her life that, of course, she'd do all this energetic, kind of spiritual. Right. When we're untrained, we think, I can't help this person. Like we internalize it like there's so many things going on here, but when we can just language and then reveal ourselves to them too, like because we
mhm,
we do our own protective and defensing if we're picking up like there's some danger with them or right.
mhm,
So if you can be loyal to like, oh, they have walls up, but I'm a safe
mhm,
person, so I'll give
mhm,
them the time and the space to calm down, right? So it's that where if my guide said I'm going to love them, I trust that 1,000%, and that's helped me
oh,
overcome my own like, oh, well, whenever they don't like me or, the things like that. It's like, no, we're destined, we're going to work together. So with one of my dear clients, April Moore, it's the same thing. She came to me very sensitive, very, I want to use the right word here. Well, just again, internalizing that she's not strong enough or she can't handle it or things like that. And so she gets into the mentorship and she what I know for sure is when you know how your intuition works, you're guided, your confidence and your voice is that it's like voice recovery to me.
mm.
If you know that what you're getting is true guidance, who can stop you from saying it?
Right, right, right. I think that's the because so much of this, or at least we've been culturally entrained to only believe what we see,
Right.
right? I
Yes.
mean, a lot of us, or I can't say, I can speak for me. I don't have the seeing of like an actual physical being, right? I get the audience, I get the clairvoyance of, a picture in my head, but it's so easy to question that as just being a part of your imagination or just an idea that's floating by or whatever it is. Versus, no, this is a sign that says turn left here.
Right. Well, I love
Right.
that. And that's the work. That's why I
Yeah.
do this work of the intuition because it's so hard to know the difference. Even Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way, I hope I said
Yeah.
it right.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
intuition comes through the imagination, and it does. Okay. So
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say if you're let's just say you're going for a walk and you keep seeing an image of your mom in your mind, then what we would do is just ask our guides, am I just thinking about them, or am I thinking about her, or is she thinking about me? So we can start asking questions. Am I just
Ah.
thinking about her, or do I need to actually call her? And you'd get guided, call her.
Mm-hmm.
So we just learn the dialogue. If you keep getting a recurring, let's say, clairvoyant experience, you could start to ask questions around that.
Mm.
If you see yourself writing a book, you don't have to go, that means I'll be an author, but maybe you are, as you know, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe you will be an author. So we ask questions. And
Mm-hmm.
another huge part is timeline. You could see
Mm.
yourself writing that book when you were 12. You can see yourself writing the book when you're 20, and you might not write it until you're 35. So we
Mm.
can, the torture of kind of waiting for these images.
Yes, I'm seeing it and then thinking it has to
Yes.
happen right now.
Oh, yeah.
Your guides are like, whoa, whoa,
I'm
whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute.
Exactly. I mean, I've burnt things down because I got an image that was 5 years out and I assumed it was today. Yes, so I'm like, I guess I'll just crash and burn everything I've been creating, and I had to learn some maturity around,
Yeah.
okay, is this a like today? Or are you like preparing me? I've got it down to about a 2 year window, thank God.
I love that you are giving such practicality here,
Yeah,
though, Kate. I mean, like this is so key,
yeah,
because when you know what questions to ask, or you're giving practical tools to say, hey, okay, if you're unsure, you can actually do this, versus I don't know. I think it might be something, but ain't
yeah,
sure. And that's I think what so many of us who want to learn more on how to trust their intuitive guidance, their hits, their whatever it is that they're seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, is to have some practical tools of I think I'm getting something, but I don't really know how to navigate it.
yeah.
And there's a lot of nuances. I mean, there's nuances that go with, building a business. There's nuances, I'm sure, that go along with trusting your intuition and tuning in and hearing what it is that you need to hear and making sense of it. So this is
And
so
like you said,
good.
like if you get an image that you're writing a book, you don't know what questions to ask, and you certainly don't know who to ask. So
Yeah.
you're kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. And you kind of like put it on the shelf. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We don't know who to
Yeah,
ask.
for
But
sure.
that's the practicality. There are practical tools that I can
Yeah.
teach that can be learned to make it make sense.
That's what I want to talk about next with the time that we have is these practical tools because you've got lots of resources to help your clients. One of them is the Claire membership. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called?
We call it
Did I
the
say it
Claire
right?
Club.
Claire Club, that's
Play
it. I'm
on
like,
the,
oh, I know it's not membership. I'm thinking something else.
yeah.
Tell us about the Claire Club, and then also tell us about you've got the Claire Club and you've got a 6 month membership. I would love for our listeners to kind of hear if they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn more from Kate. Like, how can they learn more from Kate?
The Claire Club is just my funnest way to have anybody at any point in their intuition. So even really highly advanced, you come hang out with the Claire Club, you're still going to learn a lot. Or somebody who's like, I don't know, let me come see, let me come
Mm-hmm.
explore.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of fun where I do live coaching just twice a month. It's on Fridays at 12 o'clock Eastern, and I keep it as short and sweet as I can so that it doesn't get kind of drawn out. But you show up for live coaching, and I'll do a quick little teach about intuition, and then we do practical exercises, and then you get validation. So and you can share if you want to. I mean, some people don't like to share what they
Mm-hmm.
get, they like to keep it, but all I care about is that you come use your intuition, and I give you the structure to do so, and then you come and get evidential information, so evidential
Mm-hmm.
validation.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that program, I also have my Claire Confidence course. So let's just say between the live coaching, I take each Claire and I break it down into a lesson and then two meditations, one to experience and one to refine. And then it crescendos into like the fifth is to use all of your clairs together because that's the big ultimate goal is to be
Mm-hmm.
able to use all of those together. So you have material to learn, develop, and grow, and then you come for the live coaching and and just have a really good time. This should be fun. This doesn't have to
Yeah.
be really dreary and heavy and, super heavy stuff. We have
Yeah.
fun and we experience our intuition, which is, our most natural language is the intuition. So we'll just come and
Hmm.
we speak on it and we learn it together. And then
Mm.
the next step, if you really want support, really building that intuitive foundation, is my 6 month embodiment program. And it's what I've been teaching the last 10 years, where I'll start you with the clairs, because you
Mhm.
can't learn that too much. It is the foundation to everything. Yeah,
It's repetition,
it
right?
is.
Like the more it's like going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
It's like I say, if you learn to speak French, when you go to France and you know what they're saying, how they're saying, their tone. It's the same thing with intuition. You're learning the tone of it, you're learning where it's coming from, and eventually, if you're practicing it that much, it's embodied. And
Hmm.
you know when
Hmm.
it's happening to you, you know the source of it. So I have lots of different formulas in that 6 month program. It is a group program, so there's
Hmm.
two life coaching sessions a month, and then of course in between you're doing the modules, and it's a build upon. So
Hmm.
it used to be like week one because I used to do a 10-week private mentorship, but I've
Hmm.
expanded it so people have more time to
Mm.
really do the practices in the body, and then you show up for live coaching twice a month. And then I have a final step where if somebody is like, I love this, I want more, I do have the Kate Saint Clair method, where it's a VIP 2-day in-person event where I literally teach you the minute you say yes to a client, what's happening spiritually.
Mm.
So I give you the whole formula, the whole methodology to know just how to organize what you're kind of dealing with when we say
Hmm.
yes to helping other people, especially in the spiritual matter, because we're dealing
Hmm.
with spiritual language, spiritual things. So yeah, those three programs is how I can help somebody from the very beginning to the what I consider the end, but it's like you're doing it. You're
Hmm.
just doing it, and it's normal and natural for you to do so every day.
Oh my gosh, Kate, so good. I'm going to go join the Claire Club like right after this. By the way, for those of you that are listening, go into the show notes. If you're on YouTube, check the description. We're going to share all of Kate's information, including her book, because she's got an amazing book. It's upstairs on my bedstand and I'm reading it. And the next time I see you, I want you to sign it.
I was
And,
reading yours this weekend. I love your
oh,
book as well. I did. Yeah, on my
oh,
trip
my
to New York, I
heart.
took your book with me.
Thank you. So good. So amazing. So yeah, check the show notes. If you are looking at this on Apple, the iTunes, our podcast, definitely check that out. And so exciting, Kate. I'm just so glad we met and so glad that we got a chance to connect and that we get to do life and business together.
Me too. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for being
Christine.
here.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right, everybody, go check those links. Go check out Kate. And if you reach out to Kate, just tell her that Chris says hello. Tell her where you came from, where you heard it, and do us a solid. Subscribe below if you're watching YouTube. Share this if you think somebody needs to hear it. We love to play the generosity game, and we know that together we all win. So we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.